Thanks for To the Crypt with us. We're Bone Patrol. I'm Aaron.
Chris.
Tyler.
Oh yeah, I forget I have to introduce him. And today we've got a special. I forgot he was here. We have a special guest, Kevin Acosta.
Andrew Garfield for president.
Yeah, what year was that?
1860.
Yeah. And who did you not vote for?
Honest Abe.
Honest Abe.
Frederick Douglass.
Just note that Kevin Acosta's political candidate for 1860 was not Abraham Lincoln.
Spider-Man.
He wasn't even alive.
Yeah, I guess if you say it that way, I am wearing a Spider-Man jersey, so I can't really. I don't see myself wearing an Abraham Lincoln jersey.
Would you vote for Spider-Man as president if you knew he was Peter Parker?
Ooh. Yes. Nope. Yeah. I'm gonna say yes.
He's been lying to everyone about
he's
his
a pretty
identity.
smart dude, though.
Abraham Lincoln, Peter Parker, or Spider-Man?
Both.
Abraham Lincoln was lying to us.
He was Spider-Man during the Civil War.
Yeah.
I remember those stories.
That's where we get the movie, the rendition of the Civil War as a remake.
That's
of what
why
happened.
That's why Lee Harvey Oswald shot him in the head, because he was Spider-Man.
So
Was
Oh
that
my
J. Jonah
gosh.
Jameson?
No, it was what's the Green Goblin's name?
Green Goblin?
No, it was his actual name.
Osborne?
Osborne, not Oswald.
It was David Osborne.
So Kevin, let's tell the audience here. What do you do?
So I'm starting a podcast called Common Fate. It's about just helping people through the pandemic get jobs, especially those who are graduating or in their final year of school, second final year to school. What the? Any?
What did you just say?
I just had a
He said a
stroke.
whole lot of nonsense.
The whole thing is not.
So let me get this straight. So it's called Common Fate.
Mm-hmm.
Is it up yet?
No, so we're hopefully shooting. Not shooting. Wow.
What is going on?
So you're gonna be when are you recording your first episode?
By the end of the week, this week. So we'll be available on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. We'll have a website, Instagram page, all that fun jazz, just to help people through the pandemic get jobs, because no one's wanting to hire people out of college right now. So.
They are not. I can attest to that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Do you want to help us make a website?
Oh yeah, dude. That's my skills.
Can you also help me make a really bomb resume with my only 2-week experience at 7-Eleven?
That was a part-time job, so.
It's not up yet. So when you get it up, send me the links, and I'll make sure to
Okay.
get it in the description of this one.
Yeah, sounds good.
But they should expect, so people could expect it next week.
Yeah, we should have it uploaded next week, with everything.
Are you also using Anchor for yours?
Yes, we are.
Okay, because with Anchor, it will take longer than a week to finally go up on everything. They have to get approved.
Yeah, your very first one takes a little bit to get up. Anchor will be immediate, so you'll immediately be on Anchor, but it can take up to a week to get on the other podcast. Once you've been approved once, it's really fast.
Well, I think our getting on Apple, it literally took like 3 or 4 weeks, but the rest was within the week.
Yeah,
Okay.
but once you're up on any of them, it's really fast after that. Like we'll post an episode on Anchor, and then within I'd say an hour, we're on all the different podcast services.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, so once you're approved, you're good.
Okay.
But,
Excellent.
yeah, so everyone can expect you on Anchor next
Yep,
week. Okay,
yep.
cool. Well, today we have Kevin on because we're talking about something here in our home state. Ooh.
Libya.
Texas.
We're talking about Texas.
I say Libya.
Bend, Oregon.
What?
We're talking about Skinwalker Ranch. And if you're into, if you listen to this podcast because you're already into the paranormal, you're into spooky, ooky things, and you've definitely already heard of Skinwalker Ranch. But like we said, it's in our home state, so we couldn't not cover this. It's too close. I think I've been past it. If you drive south at all on I-15, you pass it, right? At least parts of it.
Is it by Beaver? Is that where it's by, like, Fillmore Beaver area?
I thought it was up more north. Isn't you into up north?
No, it is definitely down south.
I could be either way.
I thought it
I've
was
never
over
been.
by like Vernal.
No, this is totally if you're heading down I-15 towards St. George.
I've never been.
Hold on.
You can't.
Cartographer
go.
Tyler is taking a look real quick and letting
He's
us
building
know.
a crafting table. Now he's building a cartographer table. He's got the map up.
Okay,
What
so
does it
he's got
say?
it pulled up.
It's actually north.
Oh no,
I was
so-
right.
Kings Peak
I
is
could
kind
be.
of near it. So Fort
Who?
Duchesne, You've got Vernal.
I've
I
never
guess
been.
it's west of where we're from, or not east. Sorry, west. um, east.
What am I thinking of? There's a big old. Is there like a secondary one that someone's trying to like rename?
It's Walker Skin Ranch.
I'm
Branch it
being
up,
dead
boy.
serious.
Ranch it up.
Hold on. I'm gonna look at this. So
Are you thinking of like Cove Fort or
now I know what Cove Fort is. I've been there.
Mountain Meadow Massacre?
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so this one is east. So I've completely off. I've definitely been past it. I've been up towards there. So it's if you're headed towards Dinosaur National Monument.
No, yeah.
what's Dinosaur National Monument?
So they have a T-Rex, and you can go see him.
Can I write it?
No, you can pet him.
How come there's never any ghosts of dinosaurs like that? Like T-Rexes?
Do ghosts have like an age expectancy like humans do?
According to Coco, yeah.
So then that's why, because dinosaurs are very old.
If you don't sing the Remember Me song about them every once in a while,
Remember me.
then they're gone for good.
I think so.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
No one was singing about them.
No one would. Well, I sing about
I don't know
dinosaurs in the
any.
shower.
I don't know any songs about dinosaurs.
I make them up as I go.
Does that count?
No.
The T-Rex has little arms. Doo doo doo.
Yeah, but does your song, like, can that counter out millions and millions of years of no songs?
We don't know if other dinosaurs were singing. We don't know if the cavemen were
Yeah, okay, I was
singing.
gonna say I could understand the caveman, but like I don't know why you picked
They
dinosaurs.
weren't developed like with their words. They were just like
Developed.
ooga, ooga. Like that's not music.
You might want to use another
the,
word.
the dinosaurs were not developed.
We don't know if cavemen were singing.
When's the last time you heard a caveman song?
When's the last time you've heard a caveman talk?
The last
Phil of
Geico
the
commercial
future.
where they still use the cavemen.
Oh, he talks.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying that's the last time I heard it.
Yeah, he's
did he
hitting
sing?
notes. Oh, he's
We don't know
hitting
that.
notes.
No, we don't know.
He
can
goes
sing.
a cappella.
That's not true.
There was a TV
Turn off
show.
the beat. Drop the mic.
There was a
Yeah, there was a TV show of the Geico caveman. It
Did
was
he
only
sing?
for like a season.
Did he sing?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch it.
We're gonna have to do our research.
All right,
Anyways,
we'll come back next week. Episode on singing cavemen.
Skinwalker Ranch is north, not south.
Well,
By
it
Vernal.
is northeast. Well, north relative to where you're at from us.
As long as you go
northeast.
north from wherever you're at, you'll come around.
Yeah, it's north. It's northeastern Utah towards what was? Do we say towards Vernal?
Towards Vernal,
Vernal
Duchesne.
Well, yeah, okay.
Is Duchesne a guy?
Yes.
I'm
Sometimes
sure-
called Duchesne
Duchesne.
by foreigners.
I like Dutch knees.
The Flying Dutchnies.
It's got a big population of Dutch people.
Ooh.
Yeah, and their appendages.
Oh.
So Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman's Ranch.
I was gonna say we should probably start by saying this is gonna be a two-parter.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be a two-parter. This first part is gonna be strictly just the history provided from skinwalkerranch.org.
Yeah, they got an awesome website.
Oh, it's bomb. You should make their website, Kevin.
Oh, I should redesign.
Dude, yeah, you should reach out to Brandon Frazier. What's his name? Brandon.
Brandon
Fraser.
Fogel.
Isn't that the mummy guy?
Reach out to Brandon Fogel.
Fugel?
Fugel?
Isn't Fogel Jared?
Oof.
Oh, no.
Yeah, reach out to Brandon Fugel. Tell him you're gonna make a new website for him. Make some buku banging bucks, dude.
All right, sounds good. I'll steal one of his real estate businesses.
Where does the term buku bangin' bucks come from?
So Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman's Ranch, it's located in Ballard, Utah, to be exact. And that is not if you're headed south towards St. George and I-15. That's if you're headed west towards Vernal and Dinosaur National Monument, as I have learned today.
I've got it in my mind.
And everybody who's into the paranormal, UFOs, I'd say Native American folklore, has definitely heard of Skinwalker Ranch. It's been on Travel, Discovery, and History Channel. It's been on plenty of YouTube videos. I've listened to several podcasts on it. There's books.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic right now. For the last probably 10 years, it's been a focal point of the paranormal.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I watched some of the History Channel. They have what you said was 7 seasons long.
I believe it's 7 seasons.
I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't super into it, but it had interesting parts.
7 seasons?
7 seasons.
How many episodes per season?
Well, I don't know.
How many minutes per episode?
Enough.
I would be dead by the time I finished it. I would die.
You would die, and nobody would sing about you, and then your ghost would die.
Oh man.
Remember me.
Chris.
Kevin's singing.
So the history of Skinwalker Ranch, the earliest really notable thing starts back in 1776.
When they signed the Declaration of Independence on Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, yeah. But I think it's important to go over the ranch ownership, which really only we have record back, 1934?
Yeah, only about 30 years ago.
Right. 90 years ago. So 1934 to 1994 it was owned by Kenneth and Edith Myers. As I learned, it's not pronounced Edith. It's not Kenneth and Edith.
Hey, Edith, can we come hang out with Ranch?
Yeah, let's all hang out.
And then from 1994 to 1996, it was Terry and Gwen Sherman. That's where it gets the name Sherman's Ranch. 1996 to 2016, we got Robert Bigelow.
Whoa, why did you get
Biggie
so...
Boo?
What is going on?
Wasn't he the rapper, Notorious Bigelow?
Yeah, watch out for him.
You got it mistaken. It's the notorious Robert.
And then 2016 to present, we got Brandon Fugel, and he owns this via the Adamantium Holdings Company, which honestly could be an episode in and of itself because it is a shell company that just showed up in 2016, bought the ranch, and then it wasn't until 2018 that Brandon was like, yeah, it's mine. But other than that, there's not much known what's going on. I know he sold the rights to something recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're working on a movie or a TV show. Nothing's been released or found out yet about it. But
I think it's part of the documentary for Hulu called Hunt for Skinwalker. In the documentary, they talk about how they are talking about this big guy who owns all of these real estate businesses, and then he gave them the right to use his name later on, a couple of years after the.
well, that was
documentary.
Brandon, right?
Yeah, that was Brandon.
He
Yeah.
was the one, yeah. But as of right now, it's not confirmed yet, though, why he did sell the rights to use the name for something, and I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but it probably seems like it's going to be on Hulu.
When you
series.
say sold the rights to use the name, are you saying sold the rights to use the name of Skinwalker Ranch?
Yes,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
he owns the ranch now. But it's weird that he bought it under a shell company and then for 2 years sat there and didn't tell anybody.
He works in mysterious ways. Well, the weird thing is the people he bought it from, which we'll go over the history. They don't even mention anything about the deal. Really, we just know how much money they got paid off.
Yeah, it's very strange, but hopefully in the next little bit we'll find out what's actually going on. I'm hoping it's a movie or something.
Amusement park to rival Disney.
I hope it's a movie and Brandon Fraser plays Brandon Fugel and they get Jared Fugel out of prison
And then
just to be in the movie.
and then the last half is a musical. It's like La La Land, but in Skinwalker Ranch.
What do you guys think?
If I were a movie critic, I'd probably say, "Wow, this threw me through a loop. The meaning behind all of it, Skinwalker Ranch, doesn't make sense. That's Navajo, but the Indians in the area were the Utes."
Well, hold up. Well, no, that makes sense because the Utes are part of the Navajo Nation, so that makes sense.
Scary.
We can go into that later. But the timeline of the ranch and the property around the ranch, according to skinwalkerranch.org, a lot of this information seems useless. Quote Christopher.
A lot of the things they put on there, I think, was just to make it seem more interesting than it was. Like, they just talk about, like, yeah, and then Jerry got a beer.
So this is like really long, and do you want to play popcorn with it?
You have to yell someone's
And he
name.
has to read the next bit.
Okay, yeah.
That sounds fun.
I like that idea.
Oh gosh. All right, 1776. You know what? I'm gonna let Kevin say this one. Kevin,
See?
can you read the name for me?
Oh yeah. So it's Dominguez Escalante.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The Dominguez Escalante expedition travels through Utah by the current location of Skinwalker Ranch. This expedition was a Spanish exploration from Santa Fe to the coast of Central California. All right?
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, they were just Spanish Lewis and Clarks.
Conquistadors.
Well, they were two Franciscans. Is that how you say?
I believe that's
Franciscans, yeah.
Two Franciscan priests who were trying to basically map the trail from Santa Fe to their monastery.
Dude, imagine living in a time period like that where just like they're just like, we got to make the map.
Well, and
the
so
original Google Maps.
Yeah, they
You're
were Google Maps.
oh, you're going to learn very quickly why we said this. A lot of this seems useless. The only reason they put this on the timeline is because they walked past the location that would become the ranch, and the Utes were really nice to them.
Yeah.
Nothing else happened.
It was just, I think it's mainly because it's the mapping of the land. That's the first document time of the mapping of the land, but I think it's kind of to make it sound way cooler than it is.
I also like how they say it's the first time it's been mapped. Like the Utes hadn't just been living there for a long time.
Well, I believe the Utes like handed them a beer and be like, "Hey, brother, here you go."
They were living there, but I think this is like because I don't think that, I could be wrong. I don't know anything about this, but I don't think the Native Americans had like cartographers for say. They just knew their land, right?
Yeah, they were really like in tune with their land.
I don't know. Were there Native American maps? I feel like an idiot saying that out loud. I'm gonna.
There might be, but I feel like
You just see old Inglaterra maps and like Spanish maps and stuff like that. You don't see like other things. I feel like you see cave drawings. Maybe those were maps for cavemen.
Literally, if you Google Native American maps, it's just maps from today that show where Native American tribes lived.
I legit think they just like set up landmarks and stuff because they knew their land.
that sounds.
Well, and
right,
thankfully they
sure.
did, because they were the ones that helped these two priests get through the Timpanogos Mountains. And if you've ever been up there, could you imagine trying to get through that without having any idea where you were going, and then also
Speaking
make
Spanish the whole time? Pepito,
Pepito.
I don't know where to go, Pepito.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Is that what the Ute Indian said, or is that what?
No, Pepe. Wait, ¿dónde está la biblioteca?
Sí, Pepito.
No, I'm asking, where's the library?
hello, I am priest Senor Pantalones de Fuego. So yeah, like we said, this is the very first time that this area had actually been, I guess, mapped out.
Yeah, there is talk, or there was speculation that they saw some sort of like fireball orb, but there's no confirmed like. There's no writings about it in their journals because Escalante and Dominguez kept really thorough journals.
Last podcast on the left mentions this.
But it's just basically word of mouth.
Wait, so you're saying the priest saw a fireball?
Yeah,
Basically.
that's what they claim.
That's what they claim.
Okay, I just didn't know how we got to that point all of a sudden. You're just like, yeah, and then there's a fireball.
Oh, sorry.
As in, like, the alcoholic drink.
So the Utes handed each a shot of fireball.
And they go, hey, brother, you take this.
And then so 4 years later, 1880, we had many indigenous Ute tribes that were relocated to reservations that were all around where Skinwalker Ranch was. So now the population of Utes in this area has drastically increased. And this is significant for a few reasons. The first is Skinwalkers are Native American lore, specifically Navajo, and the Utes are technically considered, I don't know if they're the Navajo Nation, but they're part of the area the Navajos covered. There's a handful of ones. We've got, so in Navajo culture, the Navajos are a part of a larger culture area is what they call it, and it includes the Pueblo people, the Apaches, the Hopis, and the Utes. And so while the Utes are a different tribe, they're part of the Navajo cultural area, and so a lot of the Navajo folklore has also passed down through these tribes as well.
Well, so I did a lot of research on that because I was like, I'm pretty sure Skinwalkers are specifically Navajo. From my research, I think that calling it Skinwalker Ranch was just a generalization, because I did a lot of research and Utes don't talk about Skinwalkers. There's a lot of articles where people are like, Utes don't really like believe the same things Navajos do. They kind of like not hate them, but they're like, a rebelling team.
No, they hate them.
No, not like, but I'm saying like what their belief systems are and stuff. Like they don't hate that, but they don't believe, but they like choose not to believe the same things.
Another thing is obviously it wasn't called Skinwalker that's not what the Navajo said. They weren't speaking Navajo and then just doing the word Skinwalker. It was pronounced Yi Naldulushi, or I don't know how to say it. I'm obviously butchering that. The only way I heard it was some little robot guy read it to me, and that's how he said Ye Nal Delushi.
I think it's funny that everyone still calls it Skinwalker Ranch, but the Utes, from what I don't know.
They called it Sherman's Ranch.
I don't think the Utes called it
Sherman.
anything other than like
Home.
dirt.
Home. My neighborhood.
My neighbor.
But yeah, so I think that was just us being like, Skinwalkers are Native American.
Yeah, I mean they are. I think they are more specifically they're Navajo, and I'm gonna go really deep into that in part 2. So we go that, and then we go to 1886. Fort Duchesne was established in Utah. In Fort Duchesne, there was a lot of Ute reservations, and then in 1886, Buffalo soldiers were stationed in Fort Duchesne. And there's a rumor of an unnamed soldier stationed there who was a known Mason, which could explain why some like Masonic symbols are carved into rocks in Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, so
That's interesting.
if you've only heard of Skinwalker Ranch and you haven't done research on it, I'm just gonna give you. Spoiler alert. It's not ghosts and stuff. It's not really even skinwalkers that much. Like there's stories, but it's aliens.
Yeah, and that is the strangest part to me.
Like, what is going on with that place? The name doesn't line up with the tribe or what's going on.
I think they just try to incorporate everything because they can't pinpoint anything, so they're like paranormal.
Yeah, I know.
Aliens.
My favorite is whenever people like don't know. They just, there's some sort of interdimensional portal in this area.
Ronald McDonald lives
Now
there.
we can't find the portal, but it's here, and aliens are just walking out of it.
Yeah, it's weird. There is, and I don't know if we cover this in the history. I can't remember. We'll see. But there is an explanation for why some people believe it's called Skinwalker Ranch, like a story behind it. So we'll get there.
Yeah. So then we jump to 1905. This is finally when the first settlers came to Skinwalker Ranch. It's John and Emma Myers. They built a small little humble homestead on the ranch. And then another family by the name of the Locks moved in on the west side of the property. And it was here we get our first real bizarre story happening on this plot of land. So the Locke family noted a story of a strange, mysterious visitor that appeared on their property. Yeah. Who was it?
Gandhi.
Lightning McQueen.
Kerchoo!
Well, let's see if you're right. So they say that the stranger, he was dressed accordingly for the times, but underneath their attire was a dazzling blue one-piece outfit.
It was Elvis.
Yeah, that's what came to mind. Is Elvis.
So Elvis
Ooh, baby.
visited Skinwalker Ranch. So we've dropped the Lightning McQueen theory, and now we're picking up Elvis.
Ciao.
They look out the window. It's like the what is that show? The dog.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
It's the Ramsey tablet episode. They look out the window and they see Elvis in the distance. He's like, oh.
Look at this. So this guy shows up. This guy shows up wearing a bejeweled onesie, and he just walks up to the Locks. He asks, "Can I get some water?" And they're like,
Oh, can I get some water, baby?
and they were like, "Well, Johnny Bravo, of course you can come in and sit and chat with us while you sip on some sweet agua." And so then he just chilled there with them, and they drank water, and they just chatted all night.
Yeah. They just showed up. They're like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's freaking fabulous. He needs a drink. Let's see what's going on.
Hey there, sweet mama. I want some agua.
And they gave it to him. And then after the conversation ended, he just left, and they never saw him again.
The odd
That
thing
was
is,
weird.
they don't know. It's vague, so they don't know if he just walked away. But I was reading a few different versions of the story, and some say he vanishes. He starts to walk away and just fades away into the distance.
Just fades away.
It was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The first UFO on the property was a man wearing a bejeweled onesie.
Pretty sure that's how Elvis died, wasn't it?
He just
Faded away. Hey, where'd he go?
No, they definitely found Elvis on his toilet. But that aside, the stories do say the mysterious blue man. Oh my gosh!
Blue Man Group.
Yeah,
It was the first of the Bloomin' group.
he did warn them that there were specific areas on the property that they should not dig.
He hid his treasures there. He's like, dude, it's haunted over there. I swear, it's not
If you dig
24
there-
karat gold rings.
If you dig there, you're gonna find a lot of money, but it's haunted doubloon, so don't touch it.
Everyone knows haunted doubloons
Yeah,
are the
you
worst.
guys saw Pirates of the Caribbean, right? You guys saw that in theaters?
No, that's an episode of SpongeBob with the Flying Dutchman. Right?
This is what the
balloons?
Blue Man told him. He's like, you guys remember Johnny Depp in Pirates of the
Oh,
Caribbean,
okay.
Curse of the Black Pearl? You remember what happened there? That's what will happen to you, Skeleton Boy.
Kevin, did you just generalize the balloons to SpongeBob?
You're
I
talking
feel
about the
offended.
what's the board game they play? They play the board game. You have to get the
Oh,
balloon. You have to dig for it.
Yeah, is that a real game you can buy?
It's awesome. I don't think so. Because could you imagine all the sand?
You just refill it with
It's
dirt
coarse and it gets everywhere.
from your garden.
I don't like sand.
Why were you Ringo from the Beatles all of a sudden? All right, so mysterious Elvis Blue Man group shows
Yeah,
up.
he warns them of
Water baby, don't dig.
he warns the Locks of cursed locations on their property, and then he just vanishes into thin air. Then we go to 1906 to 1911, and settlers in Utah feel uneasy when rumbling from underground and thunder-like sounds can be heard and felt.
Earthquakes.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a fault line that we
Could you
live
say
on.
that these settlers they felt like they were vibrating?
Glow sticks.
They found empty glow sticks on Skinwalker Ranch.
So we're saying this is infrasound. There's banshees under the ground. The government is doing experiments here.
Yes, warthogs included. We've got banshees. What's the other one? A ghost. There's
Yeah,
ghosts.
Wraiths.
There's wraiths. And then
Healers?
yes, they have the
Spartan lasers.
they have the
that's
escalator
human
thing from
technology.
Tron.
Light cycles?
No, the escalator, the big circle that just moves from platform to platform. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It just is for transportation. Nothing great.
And so why I think everything we just said was bogus is because this part doesn't actually matter, because across the entire state at this time, people were claiming the same thing. Most likely it just sounds like earthquakes were happening in the area.
Dude, Earth, no. We live on a fault line, but no.
I
Aliens.
can't beat it.
So the mysterious vibrations stop in about 1911, and then 4 years later,
They were vibrating from 19...
How many
they
gold?
literally,
5 years,
from
just
1906 to 1911, settlers in Utah claimed that the ground was shaking.
Holy cow!
So how do you pour water into a glass if it's just vibrating?
The glass wasn't invented until 1912.
When do you think water was invented? Obviously earlier, because the Locks had it. So in 1915, this is so good. We got the return of the sparkly stranger.
Is this one of the Star Wars movies, episode 14?
And do you know what he does? Yeah, it is. And do you know what he does? He shows up on the property, and what do you think the first thing he does?
Got some water, baby.
Exactly. He just shows up again, looking for more water.
Dude,
Dude,
this-
thirsty boy.
Does he
loves
legit
water.
just walk around the earth and then get a drink there and keep
Well,
going?
The best part of this one, it doesn't it's not noted who he talked to. It doesn't say if he did anything else. He just showed up, got some water, and then vanished again, as far as we know.
So where does this account come from? Like, who just-
1915.
no, but like, who saw him again?
Right.
The Locks? The
Who owned the property at this time again? Let me go up. What time
Myers,
was this
I
at
No,
think.
again?
we're still split between the Locks and the Myers living on it.
Okay, so it could have been Edith and Kenneth.
Edith?
Edith and Kenneth.
You know what they say, when you're Locks in the mire, you gotta break some rules.
What?
I get it.
I don't get it.
When you're locks in the mire, you have to break some rules?
Alright, and so should we jump to 1930? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, 1930. This is the first recorded incident of cow mutilation.
Wait a
Wild.
second.
As goofy as that sounds, but it's like actually an important part of the history. Because cow mutilation and like animal mutilation is a big part of Skinwalker Ranch area. Because apparently aliens, all they want to do is come and mutilate our livestock and then just leave.
Well, have you seen Tim Burton's Mars Attacks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
That's what they do.
but why?
Bovine intervention.
Oh, well, like bovine as in like
Cows.
livestock?
Yeah.
Nice. Everything cleared
Well,
up. The fog's
was
been lifted.
because-
I get it now.
It's because of so aliens obviously are smarter than us, more handsome than we are, smooth talkers, gamblers, and smokers. And what they do know about the Earth is that while H.P. Lovecraft believed that Cthulhu lived in the center, these aliens are smart enough to know it's not Cthulhu, it's Cthulhu, who lives in the center of the earth, and they want to take over the earth. They know they can't do it as long as Cthulhu is protecting the earth. So the only way to get to Cthulhu is to mutilate enough cows to tick off Cthulhu to rise from his grave. And well, I guess not more. I guess it's like a watery grave, like the ocean, because he lives in the core of the earth. And then they can fight him on a one basis. Alien karate.
So does Cthulhu? Does he produce milk?
After all of that, that's your first question. He's
I'm
literally
I'm wondering how legendary his milk
he's
is.
literally the cult god of cows. Of course, he produces.
I love milk.
He produces. Each udder gives you a different type of milk.
Chocolate
Chocolate
vanilla.
milk.
Strawberry vanilla milk. Is
Ooh.
that not just regular?
I don't know.
Is vanilla milk a thing?
You just add vanilla flavor. in.
And then he actually has one little runt udder that puts out Italian soda.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it so? With Cthulhu, is the lore, the more cows killed, the weaker he gets?
I don't necessarily know if his power is directly linked to how many cows are currently on the face of the earth. Because if that's the case, then he is more powerful than he's ever been, and he's just getting more powerful. But I think it's more if you kill enough cows, it might make him mad enough to come to surface, and you can fight him finally, or at least have a verbal debate.
So you
Are we the
taunt
only
him.
planet with
Spelling
cows
bee.
then? Are we the only planet with cows in the universe that we know of? Like, why
That-
come
Was
here?
that an honest question?
Yeah, me, Noah?
You know what I mean?
I don't know, Aaron. Are you withholding any information
I
about?
mean, Mars might have some, but
We
I
could
don't
do-
know. I've never
we
been
need to-
there.
I think we need to visit Bob Lazar's lasagna bar and see if he has any information about any cows that are living in the
Like,
universe.
why come here for cows?
What do you mean?
Did you?
Oh, the aliens.
Yeah,
He's
the
talking about the
aliens.
They're not coming
aliens.
here for the cows. They want Earth, but Cthulhu's protecting us. So the only way to get to us is through the cows to get to Cthulhu.
It's first grade, Kevin.
I still can't comprehend the fact that you just asked us if we have hidden like government info about cows on,
On
being,
other planets.
Yeah, like what? What are you? Who do you think we are?
Bone Patrol, you guys know everything.
No.
Yeah, so this cow mutilation. Well, okay, you know what? I'm thinking about it. That theory doesn't even hold because if that's the case, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Carl's Jr., Hardee's, In-N-Out, Five Guys Burgers and Fries, Whataburger, Mooyah,
Red Robin,
Red Robin.
Taco Bell.
Chubbies.
Okay, both of you are wrong there. Chubby's is a gift from Cthulhu. It's the one time we're allowed to eat burgers. Everyone else is a disgrace and should be taking Cthulhu off.
Aren't like the the lore goes that the fast food chains are coming together to combine into one Megazord, right?
Yeah.
Like from the Power Rangers.
Go.
Like the Power Rangers didn't make that up. They're reading it from Cthulhu's Bible.
So you remember the episode of Invader Zim where they find out he doesn't have organs, and to appear more human, he's stealing organs from all of the kids, and then he ends up being like 300 pounds, and he can't even like open his mouth without organs falling out of it. You remember that episode? So that's basically what we need to do. We need to eat cow organs to be protected by Cthulhu's shroud of protection.
If we wear the cow skin and fill ourselves with cow organs, maybe Cthulhu won't be able to tell that we're humans sneaking into his lair, and he'll think we're his faithful worshippers.
How about instead of doing all of that, we just get a skinwalker to be a cow, which the audience doesn't know anything about that yet, but could we just do that?
I don't think skinwalkers like us.
But they could be a cow and go to Cthulhu.
Yeah, but I don't think they would do it in behalf of us.
Well, according to Christopher Locke, all of his cows died in 1930.
Well, according to Christopher Nolan, Batman's a great movie.
Yeah.
True. And so with this cow mutilation, so we know it was to tick off Cthulhu, but beyond that, we know nothing else. In fact, for all we know, Christopher Locke killed all of his own cows. We don't actually know. And then in 1934, Kenneth, and I'm going to say it, I'll say it,
Say it.
Edith,
Kenneth and Edith, baby, yeah.
Myers,
Party for two.
they buy a trailer and they move to the east side of the property.
That's very far, like a couple miles.
It's, yeah,
Right? 400. They're what? 400 acres. So they
512.
So they went couple miles.
How many acres in 1 mile, or how many miles in 1 acre? Nope, definitely the other way around.
1 square mile is 640 acres.
Okay.
Okay, so
They didn't even move.
no, it's like down the street.
They didn't move that far.
No.
So when we were talking about it, I was picturing the Shermans and it's the Myers and the Locks. I was imagining them like almost in different states, like this how big the property is, but they literally like look out their back window and see each
No,
other.
this plot of land's less than a square mile.
Oh my gosh, this place is tiny. I thought it was huge.
Well, I mean, a square mile isn't tiny, but it's not. Yeah, it's not massive.
It's not how skinwalkerranch.org made me feel.
True. So then in 1944, 2 miles outside of Skinwalker Ranch, a UFO is reported.
I think this is the first like confirmed.
But it's
news.
not even in the ranch.
No, it's important
According
because
to the website.
well, I once again thought the ranch was like 6 miles long.
That's true. So this UFO was a silver globe-like object, and it was seen flying over Fort Duchesne.
Was it?
Wasn't a Tic Tac.
I think that it was no. Tyler, let's be serious here. I think that it was Disco Debbie.
You're right. She's still flying around till this day.
Till this day.
Yeah, I guess. And then in the 1950s and 1960s, a lot of locals, they start reporting more and more UFO sightings in the area. And they make sure to note that a man by the name of Junior Hicks, who recently died, actually.
Oh.
Like this
R.I.P.
year.
May he rest in peace.
Oh.
He reported a lot of UFO sightings. And the ranch itself during this time has little to no record of UFO activity through the area. Just around it.
And that was like a big thing at one of the episodes they focused on, is just like nothing on the ranch, everything around it, and everyone like throughout this time period is just saying, yeah, we've got UFOs everywhere every day. I walk out, UFO, go to bed, UFO. It's like UFOs everywhere. Go to school, UFO, stop school, UFO.
Kiss my wife, UFO.
She's
Like
an alien. I can prove it.
And so on top of all these UFO sightings, they also make sure to note that the ridge line behind the property is called Werewolf Ridge. But also, we don't know why it's called that.
I don't know if this is an appropriate time to talk about the Skinwalker like name theory because I don't know when it took place, but it has to do with almost a werewolf. Apparently, on the property at one time, there was a massive wolf, like huge, like beyond, like this is from Ice Age 2 sized wolf, right?
Yeah,
These
these
are
are
like saber-toothed tiger.
These are dire wolves.
Dire wolves, hellhounds, if you will.
Okay.
These are largest of lads. So apparently it showed up on the ranch and just started eating cows.
Yeah.
Like going nuts. And some dude point blank shot it with a shotgun and it did nothing to it.
You shot it a couple of times.
It was just going nuts. It was
Yeah.
just like...
It's like Pac-Man.
And so the theory is it wasn't an actual wolf, it was a skinwalker.
Right, because it was too large and too powerful.
And guns didn't do anything.
Guns ablazing and nothing happened.
I wish I was gun-proof.
He's just big boned.
Big.
Then in 1967, there was a surge in UFO sightings again, all around the ranch, but once again, nothing in the ranch. The only thing should be in your ranch is preferably carrots, broccoli, no celery though. Sweet snow peas, those are okay.
Pizza?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
pizza
fine.
okay?
That's fine.
Sometimes.
As long as it's Totino's.
And it's growing from a tree.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, as long as it's Quentin Totino's pizza and you bake it in the mysterious oven.
With ice cubes.
With hot ice.
Ooh, hot ice.
And instead of using oregano, you use the devil's lettuce peyote.
Ooh. But yeah, once again, lots of UFO sightings. And if you want to like hear all about these, go listen to the last podcast on the left. Their episode, they really go into all of these sightings, but they also love aliens.
Yeah.
Well, Henry especially loves aliens.
Yeah. All squeaky Henry Zabrowski.
And then in 1968, the Bottle Hollow Resort was built in Fort Duchesne.
Yeah, I don't know why that matters.
Well, because it was a resort that was built that had rooms.
So I guess more people came.
And well, the entire thing was run by Ute Indians.
Right. Well,
So did they serve fireballs to all the guests? Here you go, sir. Here you go, sir.
once again, this has nothing to do with the property of the ranch, right? It's just buy it.
It was built, so it's like this is between 1968 and 1970. It was built by the U.S. Army on Ute tribal lands, ran by the Utes.
Yeah. I don't
But,
think...
well, I maybe why they know is because the year this resort was built, cow mutilation started to become a common occurrence, like just happening all the time. So they don't know if this somehow linked, like building this angered the skinwalkers. Like, this is cursed land, or you built on an Indian burial ground, and now your cows have to die.
I'm gonna go with that. Maybe the Utes are just upset that they built on sacred land, so they're cutting up cows.
Why are they working at it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really mad this place is here, but I do need a paycheck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Utes were upset.
Oh, let me say this. Sorry, let me say this. Just like the UFO sightings, this is all happening outside of the ranch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This
Yeah, this isn't-
reservation's not built on Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah,
So why is this important? Is
well-
this secretly a beacon
Well,
for aliens to communicate
Well,
with us?
why are the UFOs important then? They're not happening on the ranch either. That's the weird part, is nothing is really happening on the ranch.
Maybe the ranch is a warp gate, and that's why everything's happening.
Like from StarCraft 2?
Yeah,
A warp gate. You think the Protoss are warp
I
gating
think,
in
I
motherships?
think
we require more.
he's
pilots.
not wrong. If we could somehow gain true sight, we could see the warp prism that's hidden there.
Do you think that they cannon rushed Skinwalker Ranch?
I know they 4-gate proxied it.
Because
you
you
would-
definitely
It
built...
makes sense because when you proxy, you don't build in the base. You build
Yeah.
outside of it.
Yeah.
All the sightings are happening outside. They're getting ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
they definitely built a starport early on, right on Werewolf Ridge.
There's a void ray headed there right now.
So the bedazzled dude was just a, what is it?
He's a zealot?
Yeah, he's a zealot. Wah, wah, wah,
So wait, are the skinwalkers the Zerg?
Ooh,
Oh.
ooh, maybe the Protoss are here
You know what they
to
are?
fight the Zerg.
No.
And we're
The
the Terrans.
Skinwalkers aren't Zerg specifically. They're Terrans who have been infested.
Ah, they're what the overseers poop out.
No,
The,
that's a changeling. No. Maybe.
Oh, changeling.
Well, no. I was thinking more like when, okay, I'm thinking neuroparasite.
oh, because I was thinking changing because they changed their form, like a Skinwalker is able to do.
As long as I get to see the Queen of Blades, I'll be happy.
The Queen of Blades.
Arrogant.
Yeah, so what's it? This is all happening outside of the ranch. In 1978, 10 miles from the ranch, the Desert News reports a UFO sighting. Once again, a large silver dome.
So further away from the ranch, we're getting more sightings.
And this one, if you want to read about it, skinwalkerranch.org has a link to the article.
Yeah, you can read on all of these in more depth.
And if you guys are super stoked on Skinwalker Ranch and we get a lot of feedback that you want us to go into these articles and stuff, we can do it.
We won't.
We will. Me
I'll
and
try.
Kevin,
I'll be back.
me and Kevin will
We
sit
will be
alone in
back.
this room, and
Together.
and it might take us 30 minutes to finally start recording after the hand holding stops.
So, but as I'm seeing this, though, the you can think of it as like kind of like a hurricane, and the ranch is the eye, and all the activities happening around outside of it. But as far as the eye is concerned, it's calm and nothing's going on.
yeah, let's look at it that way.
It's a paranormal hurricane.
Here
I
I
do
am.
like
Not to be
that.
confused
Hurricane.
with Hurricane, Utah.
That's
Nice.
hurricane.
Hurricane.
Hurricane. I'm from Hurricane.
It gets spicy here because in 1981, NASA responds to the large amount of UFO activity, and they build an observatory 16 miles north of the ranch in Vernal.
That actually is kind of important because this is where the rest of the world is like taking this a little more seriously. Like this isn't just Jeremy Joe and everyone else's kids are going out saying, "I saw a flying saucer."
Well, you gotta realize with these stories of the UFOs, it would be like half the town would agree they saw this thing
Yeah.
and explain that they saw the exact same thing, doing the exact same motion patterns.
They got stuck in
It's
a
more- yeah,
vibration for
it's-
10 years.
It's more than just what was it, Junior Hicks saying, "I saw a UFO and it killed my cow."
Yeah.
It's the entire town says, "I saw a UFO," and all the cows exploded.
Isn't it around this time that like George Knapp and some other people like started bringing bringing UFOs into light. Isn't it around that time?
I thought you were gonna say they were bringing them to the property.
Yeah.
Well, so we're right now we're in the 80s, so yeah, I mean that's really the high point of UFO sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
I'd say from the 80s to the 90s is where you see a huge like peak in the U.S. and just the U.S. in
general.
UFO sightings. We talked about this in our UFO episode,
Yeah.
but there's a whole this guy he put together so much information and made a huge spreadsheet on it, and it's around this time period. It was a massive peak in UFO sightings.
what? So George, for anyone who doesn't know George Knapp, does anyone have a good explanation of like how to describe George?
Is
he's
he
just
really
like a-
into UFOs? Is that right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's one of the big like theorists with UFOs and stuff. He I don't know if you could say spearheads, but he's involved in a lot of big investigations. If I'm not mistaken, he does a lot of documentaries, books, movies too. He's like, if you are into UFOs, you are into George Knapp.
Yeah, no, it's
'Cause
true.
He's like an investigator, a reporter, an anchorman, a newspaper columnist,
What?
like a columnist.
What
Yeah.
is a columnist?
Yeah, he
Right.
writes columns in the
Columns.
newspaper.
Oh.
Yeah. So like he,
You could have just said a writer,
an editor.
an editor.
But yeah, he knows how to investigate. I think that's the big thing is why he's so involved in this because he can find conclusions or what he thinks are conclusions, but he can't find a conclusion to this, and that's why he's super involved and invested in.
Yeah, I would
this.
highly suggest looking at his
I
stuff
think
and
an
his research he's done.
Appropriate word you can say is theory. People don't like the word theory, but like,
Oh, yeah, people I've learned get upset if I say things they believe in are
so if
conspiracy
you
theories.
say you can say things are theories, and because you have to realize everything in our functioning world is a scientific theory.
Just about everything's a theory.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
it's not an insult to say that like what you believe in is a theory or even a conspiracy. Just embrace it.
So if
I believe
you
in
if
plenty
you
of
say he's a
conspiracies.
conspiracy theorist, you're pretty much all you're implying is that he has a theory for what's happening there, and
Yeah.
until proven otherwise, that is the theory.
Yeah. And if this was proven, we wouldn't really be talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. And so throughout the 80s and the 90s, the town continues to expand, building massive power lines throughout the area and around the ranch. And then also in the late 80s, Kenneth Myers passed away on April 26, leaving Edith alone on the ranch.
Sorry, who?
Edith.
Okay, thank you.
R.I.P.
In 89, the Bottle Hollow Reservoir is drained to repair an outlet. That's just what the website says.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's where the water comes through. I'm sure it goes through, and I don't know if they have theirs set up to be a generator to get hydroelectricity. What year is this? When was?
89.
Could you do that then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it might be like they're repairing something with that, the generator, to harvest the sweet, sweet energy of the aqua gods. Thank you. What's the?
Well, yeah.
no,
Poseidon?
this was
Ocean
Poseidon.
Man.
No, this was the blue guy. He showed up, drank all the water,
Oh
Peed it out.
and
Through the generator.
And it also happened this year that the NASA observatory was torn down.
Interesting.
Do you? Okay, I don't. With the NASA observatory, could it possibly be that they just weren't getting enough to be like, this isn't worth our funding?
Well, they're all based on funding, so it just depends on where their funding is. And my guess is funding just wasn't there, so we moved on to some other project.
But do you think they didn't get enough funding, like, because they were coming with too many inconclusive, like, pieces of evidence of UFOs and stuff? Like, do you think that they were just not actually getting as much readings as everyone else in the town claims?
Maybe they got shut down. They found so many sightings and information. The government's like, we gotta shut them down.
Or maybe their budget got cut. Who was the president at the time?
Ronald Reagan?
Ronald Reagan.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear
Wasn't
down
it
that
George
wall.
Bush Senior?
Might be.
89?
Yeah,
I
89.
know
89?
a lot
Actually,
of
yeah,
US
that would have
history.
been George Bush Senior.
There was and we also had a shuttle mission in 89.
Okay, so funding was probably going directly
Somewhere else.
into the shuttle mission. They were definitely cutting. Well, what I'm saying is, yeah, they definitely lost funding, but like, do you think it was because they weren't pulling evidence?
Maybe.
I'd say it's at least part of it, but also, as we've learned with the Tic Tac video, who knows? They could have evidence, but it just they weren't allowed to release it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the idea was, if we just tear down, people are going to assume we didn't find anything, and so they're not going to come asking questions.
Right, I guess that's true. I just feel like if you have a hot spot for extraterrestrial activity, why would you tear it down? You know?
Once again, I think maybe just so people aren't asking questions. Because if you tear it down, it makes it look like you didn't find anything. So if you're trying to keep it on the DL, if it looks like, oh hey, they didn't find anything, they just packed up and left, there's no information I was searching for. But if that observatory stayed there forever and was thriving, you wouldn't be staying here if you weren't finding valuable information, and obviously you're not sharing it.
Right. Well, I mean, but yeah, I just feel like, because one thing with UFOs you notice is over time, the UFO size and shape changes. Whether you connect that with Hollywood's depiction of UFOs, so people start seeing the Banshee or the flying saucer, or their tech changes because tech changes as time goes on. You'd think if they were getting good information, they would stay there because it's going to change as time goes on, as we see.
Well, maybe though it's like other things we've discussed. Maybe they did stay there, but they tore down the observatory we can see.
They've went underground.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really are getting valuable information, but the government has asked them, hey, you can't be releasing this stuff. You can't be that open about what you're doing.
Do you think they're on Skinwalker Ranch?
I think they are
property?
skinwalkers.
Do you think NASA is skinwalkers?
Yes.
Everyone in the government is a skinwalker.
Well, that's just a fact. We know that. But,
Reptiles.
Thanks, Tyler.
Sorry.
so for some reason, it took like 3 years for them to start filling up the reservoir with water again.
Thirsty
Very
boy came
important.
Was
back.
it because onesie wearing boy was that thirsty? Was it just no water? I mean, there is no water really in that area.
Yeah,
but
it's like a desert. It's pretty much.
Well,
we're all a desert.
We haven't seen him in a while, right? No
No,
one's
no.
seen him in a while. So he probably showed back up, saw there was no water, and went, oh, no water, baby, I'm out.
In 1994, Edith Myers passes away, leaving the property to her brother-in-law, Garth Myers, who immediately sells the property to the Shermans. And the Shermans immediately move onto the ranch along with all of their cattle, which was real smart because it's not like cattle have been exploding in that area or anything.
Were they actually exploding?
Well, so one of the episodes they show a video of, so the episodes I'm referring to are the History Channel ones. They show like one of the cows that got mutilated, and it looks like he just got pummeled and exploded. No blood anywhere. Just they couldn't explain it. So I guess you could say they are exploding.
How do you not hear a cow explode?
Did you hear that?
Yes. Did he like go to milk it and it just was way too full of milk and it just popped like a
Why
fresh
is there
zit?
milk on my house?
No, there's no blood. No milk, no anything.
It just popped.
It just popped.
So it's just its guts are out and about?
Yeah, it's
Bones.
just what's left is bones, skin. The head is intact, so it's
Like all its insides are just like
gone.
Did someone just feed it like a bunch of firecrackers?
Well, this is where the idea of skinwalkers come in.
Did they crawl in and expand?
Think of it like this. No, they didn't do that.
Think of it like they're just drinking the insides through a straw. They just like stab a straw through the mouth of the cow and just.
Isn't it through the
A
anus?
big whoa, no, I think a cow Slurpee.
None of this explains why a cow would explode.
Okay. Let's ask this question. Would you rather have a Slurpee or a Frazzle?
Slurpee.
Slurpee.
I think I've only had a Slurpee.
Alright.
Yeah, what is a frazzle?
It's Chevron's version of a Slurpee.
It's just a Slurpee.
It's more slushy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a Slurpee.
Yeah.
But at Chevron.
Exactly.
None of this can help me figure out why cows are exploding.
Well, in 95, maybe we can find out. Because while NASA had been gone for a few years, the is it the National Institute or is it literally the Nation Institute?
I think it's national.
national.
It's national.
Wait, let me check.
The National Institute for the Discovery of Science, or NIDS, is set up and was designated to investigate paranormal and UFO and other fringe sightings in this area. So we're back, baby. We're back. We're investigating. We're looking for aliens.
And this is Robert Bigelow's group.
Robert.
Bigelow.
Notorious Bigelow is back. I guess he wasn't ever here. So he just showed up.
His name's been said twice on the podcast now. He's back, baby.
You say it a third time, he's gonna show up in the room.
Oh, don't say it.
And then in 96, the Deseret News made an article talking about strange paranormal activity around and on Skinwalker Ranch, which is interesting because up until this point, there hasn't really been any paranormal activity on the ranch that we know of.
At least not documented.
Yeah. So how did they write about it?
Well, now it's documented. I'm saying like before that. Like, what if Kenneth and Edith are like, we'll deal with the aliens. They're kind of friendly if you don't write about them in mean ways.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys are ready to introduce a fifth person onto this podcast today because just a few weeks after the article was released, Robert Bigelow is here in spirit. Purchased the ranch for $200,000 and moved a team of NIDS scientists onto the ranch to begin investigating. Yeah, I mean, he's committed. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Just to be like, there's aliens here.
So are these guys getting paid? That's the question. Are they getting paid?
They're getting paid.
Like the big bucks or just like...
Buku banging bucks.
Yeah, buku banging bucks. Because Robert Bigelow's like a millionaire.
Okay.
If you say it a fifth time, he dies.
Buku banging bucks.
Buku Bigelow bucks. Well, we're about to, because in 2004, NIDS is shut down and replaced with Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Studies, or BASS.
My ass.
And then in 2005, George
Costanza.
George Knapp and Colm Keller. Is it Colm?
Yeah, I think it's Colm Keller, PhD. That's his title in the book.
PhD.
Colm Keller, PhD, published a book called Hunting for Skinwalkers, which help expose the general public to the odd events that have been happening around and on the ranch. Which is like, so they just say helping to, hunting for skinwalkers, but that is so misleading because it was never about skinwalkers.
Yeah, and I don't know when the name Skinwalker was coined, so I think that's kind of misleading. Not kind of, super misleading, because we haven't talked about skinwalkers yet.
Could it possibly be that they think skinwalkers are aliens?
Maybe.
Like, could skinwalkers be what are flying the UFOs too?
Skinwalkers are UFOs.
Alien Native Americans are flying UFOs around Skinwalker Ranch, picking up cows, exploding them because they took their land.
You say that like it's outrageous, but like listen to the explanation of aliens already. It's already outrageous. That's not any more outrageous.
This story is really starting to sound like a Mel's Hole thing, though, because in 2007, an unnamed agent from the Defense Intelligence Agency approaches Bigelow to come onto the property. This agent claims to have a personal close encounter in which he reports to his superiors. Many people believe this was the catalyst for 22 million research studies conducted by Senator Harry Reid on Skinwalker Ranch. But like, this is just like Mel's Hole, where this dude's like, I got something mysterious, and the government's like, it's ours now. It's like, what?
I want that hole and I want it now.
Tear down that hole, Mr. Gorbachev.
Gorbachev, tear down that hole. Fill in that hole?
Oh, fill in that hole.
You sound more like Nixon.
Well, it doesn't stop there because the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program and Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program, otherwise known as the AATIP and the AAWSAP, which they were both a top secret program that was funded by the United States government to go and study these UFOs that people have been seeing around and near Skinwalker Ranch.
And this brings me back to before, where obviously the government is into it. They're not hiding it. They're putting a lot of money into this. So why take away their funding to NASA?
Because in 2009, they tore down Bottle Hollow Resort.
So why did they quit funding NASA?
Well, NASA is not a government agency.
Right.
They just because the government says we can do it ourselves. So we will use our money to do it ourselves. We're not going to fund NASA to do it.
Isn't this around the year of the Tic Tac?
2004. 2004, yeah.
So they're starting to spend more money on this type of stuff, and they're like, Space Force.
Space Force. It just seems odd, because if it was about hiding it, they're not doing a good job.
Right. So 4 years after these government agencies moved in, AAWSAP lost all of its funding and is closed down. So this is like, what, is this the third time? No, this is the fourth time that somebody has had it, was doing research, and either just was bought out or was completely shut down because of the loss of funding.
Right.
Yeah.
And my only conclusion has to be that they're just not pulling as much evidence as people in the area claimed there would be.
Right. Well, what's interesting is AATIP continues to function and study in this area, and Bigelow started to fund the project with his own money. So he is still really committed to it, and he's funneling his own money into AATIP, who did stay and continue to do studies.
So I guess I just don't understand the programs enough. I haven't done research on them. They're government funded. Why would you choose one over the other to keep?
Well, so the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, was not like the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Application Program, because the AAWSAP was a top secret group. So I don't know what that really changed. So I don't know people up until recently knew about that.
Yeah, so the weapons system, that was like top secret. We didn't want anyone knowing about it, but the ATIP, the aerospace, whatever it's called, is more known, I guess.
The aerospace, whatever it's called.
The
Whatever it's
Advanced
called.
Aviation Threat Identification Program. So they sound like they're looking for UFOs simply out of threat. Like, are these UFOs? Is this Russia? Is this China? Is this Atlantis?
Is this Cthulhu?
Is this Cthulhu looking to attack us? So they're looking out for threats. While the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program sounds like they're trying to use aerospace weapons.
They're trying to develop weapons.
I feel like being on the ranch to develop weapons is a bad choice.
Well, if you could capture a UFO, though.
I feel like, yes, you could have like them move there at that point, but to have them building experimental Spartan lasers on Skinwalker Ranch is probably why a cow blew up.
Yeah, but at least we know the weapons work.
Yeah. Well,
That's true.
it
Good
might have
job.
not worked. That's probably why the cow blew up.
Maybe. So in 2012, February 12th, power is knocked out in Fort Duchesne. And after the power goes out, several witnesses claim to see the same glowing green aura in the sky accompanied by a hovering UFO. And this is the same thing that people have been seeing for years. It's a silver-looking UFO that glows green. So obviously, for the last, I'm talking probably like 40-ish or so years, people have kept seeing this reoccurring UFO show up in this area. At this point, no surprise here, Bass loses all of its funding from the Department of Defense, and AATIP's contract expires and is not renewed.
So it lost all funding. It's done.
That's what they claim.
And they claimed it was because they did not want to cause fear to the public with what they found out.
Okay. I mean, that might be true.
Yeah, maybe. Well, then, so Louis Elizondo, a director for AATIP, called for the retraction of AATIP at Skinwalker Ranch entirely. So he pulled out everything. So they lost their funding, and he said, "We got to get everything out of here."
So is there a theory on why everything shut down like back to back, boom, 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 beyond just funding, like a theory?
Yeah, the theory is they found something. They found something out, and they didn't want to freak out the general public, so they're keeping it to themselves. It's top secret.
So they got Caillou. They caught him.
One of the 4 deadly horsemen of the apocalypse.
Caillou, and then the creeper on the horse creep on the horse, and he blow up the cow.
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's keep going down the timeline here. In 2013, excuse me.
Excused.
In 2013, soon after the closure of multiple of these government programs and AATIP doesn't renew their contract, a unique war monument is suddenly paid for by the government and built in Fort Duchesne.
Yeah, they only state that it's unique, and I don't get what that means.
It's the only one.
It's a satellite. It captures information.
Right.
got eyes.
It's iffy that it's the government that's just like,
Yeah.
hey, we'll put
After
something
years.
Here.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like a giant camera. No, war monument.
Don't smile.
Why does that monument have a GoPro attached to it? It doesn't. It's a monument. Oh,
Does he have a satellite for
There
an
is somebody
arm?
sitting in there.
okay.
Please do not look at me.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird. And then in 2015, Tom DeLonge forms To the Stars Academy. A man by the name of Jeremy Corbell creates a website titled HuntTheSkinwalker.com. And the purpose of this website is to try to create a documentary about Skinwalker Ranch, which was aided by his advisor, George Knapp. So George is in this. We got Tom DeLonge's back in this.
Well, we don't know if Tom DeLonge does anything on the ranch yet. It just says that he started that company.
Oh, well, I can almost guarantee that Tom DeLonge's looked into it.
Well, I'm sure they have, but
Yeah.
it never in
It never refers to him again.
SkinwalkerRanch.org's history timeline that's so beautifully presented because it wasn't made by Kevin and his crappy website skills. Oh my gosh, I
Oof,
hate your
Kevin,
websites,
that was
Kevin.
rough.
Oh,
That hurts.
it's okay. I just took the template that they were giving me.
I haven't seen your website.
What website?
Wait, what?
The one for your podcast.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Oh.
using Editor X.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying the SkinwalkerRanch.org website is beautiful because Kevin didn't make it. If Kevin would have made it, it would have been awful.
So what you did say
Oh.
was that it sucked because Kevin did make
Oh.
it.
Well, that's true too.
I'm
If
still
it
stuck in
sucks, it's
1996.
because Kevin made it.
Yeah.
Have you seen my websites? It looks like straight out of 1996.
I haven't
Are
seen your
you
websites.
are you claiming it's a good thing?
I'm bringing it back.
Retro's back, baby.
Retro's back.
All right. I'm excited. So we go with a year later, Skinwalker Ranch is sold for a rumored $4.5 million to an undisclosed buyer. This buyer, at this point, it's not unknown because we've kind of already talked about it, but this buyer operates under the Cooperation Adamantium Holdings, which is a shell company that just popped up out of nowhere.
Could you specify what a shell company
It is a company with no employees, no what's the word I'm looking for?
CEO.
Well, yeah, there's no organization, there's no employees,
don't put
there's
out
no
any
structure.
product.
Thank you, structure.
Yeah.
There's no structure whatsoever.
They don't have like product they're making.
They're
They
covered
don't
for something.
make
Yeah, so it's like
something.
it's just trying to cover up as something else.
Right. Okay.
So like McDonald's, that's a shell.
Shell
company.
company.
Shell.
Shell.
Shell. The gas station is a shell company.
Shell. Yep. So at this time, so it's bought for $4.5 million by the Shell company. Bass is assumed to be disbanded as the security team and is removed from the property. The new owner has implemented their own security force, and these new security guards are said to be way more heavily armed than the prior. In a public road by the name of Hickens Road. Is that referred to Junior Hickens? What was his name? That was
Dicks.
oh, never mind.
Junior Higgins. It wasn't too far off. It was
No,
just kind
no.
of funny to say out loud.
It leads through Skinwalker Ranch, which is now vacated.
Mhm. And those security guards are very, like, there's a Vice episode, and they talk to Brandon. What's it? Fugel?
Jason
Fugel.
Fogel.
Jason Fugel.
Brandon Fugel.
They
Yeah.
built a subway on the ranch.
But anywho, the security guards are very heavily armed, and you can't, if you get anywhere close to the ranch without the proper, what is it?
Permission slip from your parents.
Yeah, basically, they just tell you to turn around. You have no business there.
Yeah, they sew up and around it. They put a big new gate and signs that say "Do not approach or attempt to visit this property."
They also, I think it's on SkinwalkerRanch.org, the timeline, they say that they go from the security guards having pistols to having like ARs and body armor and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and also this place is now under like 24/7 surveillance. So
Yeah.
I would not suggest trying to sneak onto it.
Unless you have the proper permission slip signed by your parents to go on this field trip.
I can sign it
No,
for
no.
you as well.
Yeah, we'll forge your parents' signature if you need us to.
Yeah. Okay, and then in 2017, Tom DeLonge goes on national TV to announce his connection with former government insiders and how he has them working for To the Stars, his company. The New York Times released a story covering Skinwalker Ranch, which goes as following. The Department of Defense officially confirms that the government funded the program, the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. Senator Harry Reid, mentioned earlier, confirmed his involvement with his $22 million he put into this program. The $22 million was awarded to Robertson's Bigelow. That is the name? Isn't it Roberts?
I thought it was just Robert.
It's off the website.
Robert.
Or Robertson.
And anyways, and his foundation Bass to study the odd phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch. Louis Elizondo, at this point an ex-government worker and director with 20 plus years of experience, was put in charge of this program. Lewis has spoken extensively to the media about his role in observing, documenting, and working with these organizations. They refer to these UFOs as a collection of exotic alloys. They also claim to have artifacts from Skinwalker Ranch.
So it sounds like The only reason that we probably haven't heard of anything happening on Skinwalker Ranch is because it's been kept under wraps.
Yep, that's what it seems like.
Because they have artifacts from Skinwalker Ranch.
That's what
they
they
have
say.
the exploding cow's left leg.
Exactly.
They also have a gift shop where they sell parts of the cows.
Ooh.
They're discount price because they are exploded cow parts.
They have a hands-on experience for your children where you can buy a knife and mutilate a cow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a petting zoo with knives.
Yeah.
Good thing I don't have kids.
Just take someone else's kids.
Yeah. And in 2018, the film producer Jeremy Corbell and author George Knapp released their documentary they're working on. This documentary is a retelling of the history of the ranch, where they show archival footage. This film helped reignite the interest that people had in the ranch before, and then somewhere between 2018 and 2020, the mysterious owner of the ranch and head of Adamantium reveals his identity as Brendan Fugel. This will happen in the Vice article. And then on March 31st, the TV show Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch aired on the History Channel. The show looks inside the new ownership of the ranch and is assembled crew of researchers. And that's where their timeline ends.
Yep. Juicy.
A little bit too much pulp, but it's a good one.
Yeah, and so we're gonna stop. I think we're gonna stop this one here, and then the part 2 is gonna be all about the good stuff you come here for: witchcraft, UFOs,
Mutilations.
mutilation theories, cannibalism.
Conspiracy theories.
Robert Bigelow.
Yeah,
I agree.
Does he come back? Is he coming back in
Oh.
part 2?
He comes back in my conspiracy theory.
All right. Well, so unlike normal episodes, I don't think we have any conclusions here yet, right? We don't know enough to have any theories.
I do.
Okay, what is it?
Elvis Presley. That's it.
Is he a time traveler?
What about Johnny Bravo?
No. Elvis Presley and Johnny Bravo come through every couple of months to collide in the sky in a great duel of fates. What's that song? How does it go? Keep going. And so they collide in the sky, and that's where the green aura comes from. And the pure energy shooting out from this battle is causing cows to explode, the reservoir to drain, and that's it.
All right, yeah, very cool, Darth Maul.
Yep.
All right, we're not locking the crypt up. We're just kind of closing the door so we can come back later, put a little door stop in it so it doesn't shut on us.
We're gonna just pull one of those rotten legs out from the crypt, shove it in the door, so
Yeah.
it props
We're
it
gonna
open.
take a break, get some water, stretch a little bit, and we're coming back hot for part 2. So, I guess a midday kiss from.
It is past midsummer.
Yeah, that sounds warm. From we get one from Kevin Acosta.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mwah.